or... There you go. I'll have to do that for a second there because I am broadcasting this. G'day, everybody. Welcome along to Andy Store Racing. Welcome along to the Race 7 that is here in Hungaroring. And that title needs to be updated again, guys. And I am the Biggles. And next to me in the commentary box is Mr. George. Welcome along.
Hi, everybody. No. We know this track sort of referred to as Monaco without walls, but for me, this is a personal favourite in terms of the technical requirements of the track and the challenge it is for the drivers, because the only real break you get is on that main straight, and it's not a very long one, to be honest, and it's sort of all fully at it, the whole track around that, lots of downforce piled onto the cars, so should be good for racing. I think on the game, definitely more than we get in real life here. So I think we should see some quite good racing and some quite intense qualifying. Let's go short qualifying due to only being 14 drivers so far available today. We might get a couple more showing up later on. But yeah, that's all we got so far. So we're getting short qualifying. So every lap counts. Probably not going to see any starters on the mediums as well because of short qualifying, which is always interesting for the race. See everyone start on those soft compound tyres.
There you have it. So I'm just getting the audio levels right and the performance mode and stuff like that because I am streaming the game to you as well. So hopefully it should not be a problem for the Twitch stream. We'll see. My little graphics card can handle it. And PS out there, if you have a graphics card in the United States of America and you want to sell me one, hit me up. I need one. So yeah, the interesting tyre strategy. The weather forecast that I'm seeing for the qualifying is dry, so I don't think I'm going to have to worry too much about that setup. They're running a high downforce setup generally around here, the Monaco without the barriers, as they say. But the drivers are still pretty shy, I have to say, of going out, or maybe just don't want to chew through those tyres. Because you only have, 4 or 5 cars now on their outlaps.
Yeah, if we see a big pace difference between some drivers out there as well, which we may see more than in the past now, we've got one split in F1 instead of the two that we ran for a couple of seasons. So one split means that maybe if it's one of those guys out there is a couple of seconds slower than one of those other guys, you want a gap in front of you because you don't want to catch somebody when you're on your hot lap, even if they're slower and they're on the hot lap, especially if someone's on a slow lap as well, like an in-lap, out-lap, you really don't want to be catching somebody. We've got a McLaren off in the middle section, it looks like, in that difficult hairpin.
Yeah, it's Norge.
Yeah.
There is a car coming around. Should not affect. Is off the road there. So he did the right thing. Let's go back to the Red Bull. Do you want to give us a hot lap around here from the Red Bull's perspective as we're on board?
Yeah, I can. From now, coming into the middle sector now, this is a difficult section. We just saw the McLaren spin. You take too much of that inside curb, and that's gone over a difficult chicane here. You kind of want to cut as much as possible, but obviously track limits on this game quite harsh. A little bit wide down onto the grass, so that's going to hurt him a little bit. Really difficult section here to hook up. You want to hit every single apex you can. It's pretty much flat here now through this section. A little bit of a dab on the brakes, a lift maybe there, and then down towards into the final sector now. Now we've got this difficult section, which is sort of, these are very long corners, and you feel you want to put your foot down, you want to put your foot down. If you go too early, you're going to wash out wide and get very understeer, because all of these slightly off camber, you can kind of see it from the camera angle, much more when you're sat in like iDriver's level in the car. You can see these corners are all off camber. You can see a little bit of hesitation, it looked like they're actually coming out the final corner for Val Hunt. That's the fastest lap, but obviously first lap of the session, so it's going to be that, but that's the benchmark now, a 15.8. I think we'll have another couple of guys coming along soon. Now on board, well, off board, I should say, with Obi-Wan Kenobi coming through that same final sector. Car just looks so planted from off board. Same before we came on stream, I drove the LMP2s around here on iRacing the other day, and the amount of downforce these things have in comparison to that, it's just insane. Moves out the way nicely for the Alfa Romeo of Hort there. He's going to be, looks like the next driver to set a proper lap time. There's quite a few out there now. It's actually getting a bit crowded around the middle section actually, but we're going to see what Hort can do on this lap. It's hopefully going to be somewhere competitive with what Val Hunt has, and then we'll see roughly where the field is at. So it's 16.9. So Val Hunt's lap, I would say, at the moment looks fairly decent. I mean, we'll see sort of what the real benchmark is when Lorenzo comes across the line. been the standout driver of the season. He's had a couple of unfortunate moments. Tony going to be out first AlphaTauri to cross the line as well. What kind of time can he do? And it's 15.5. So 15.8 was the benchmark. It's now moved to a 15.566.
And guess who's about to break that? The man you're just mentioning before, the man that's leading the championship, I believe, and the man that's usually winning races. So, well, isn't a Merc. Why not keeping Toto Wolff happy with a 114.7, smashing that? That's 8/10.
Yeah, that's the new bench line that these guys have got to get. We did see Lorenzo quickest, of course, last time out in Monza, and then I think under the safety car he came into contact with one of the other drivers. Bit of an internet issue there, which put him in a wall. He had to replace that front wing, and then that meant he was pushing for the rest of the race, and he made a massive mistake in the full wet conditions we had, which put him in the barrier. So that lost him a lot of points. So he just needs a solid, clean race here where he can pick up a lot of points, which, of course, we've seen from him in the past. He can definitely do that. See a lot of yellow flags coming out at the moment, but pretty sure it's just drivers getting out the way here, because you do have to slow down the car a mighty lot to be offline and let someone through, just because of how, like I said, Monaco about barriers, you can't afford to catch anybody here on your hot lap, and you really don't want to be accused of impeding another driver while you're on your way out of the pits or on your way back in.
Short track as well, 2.7 miles, one of the shortest on the Formula 1 calendar. So Jimi Hendrix right now, the Ferrari, he's about to come across the line and set his first time for this evening. Jimi Hendrix goes up at that P8. Jimi Hendrix could have some of those great days and not so great days, but good on him for back, keeping with it, bearing with all the game, and we won't mention the D word today at all. We won't curse it. It's all been good.
Yes. Interesting. Jimi Hendrix had 100% of his battery left at the end of that lap, so not personally played too much of this game yet, so I'm not quite sure what he was doing. I assume he probably forgot to turn it back into hot lap mode.
No, it's automatic. So I believe Gazza could probably confirm that one to us. He isn't hanging out in the commentary box, but he is doing something. I'm not quite sure what he's doing, but yeah, you can't change the ER. You can't use the ERS deployment in qualifying. So that's
is there like a qualifying mode you have to click on, Gaz? I don't know.
Yeah, Gazza,
you can be at
the you can switch it off to charge, and then you can switch it back to hot lap.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so it's just those two choices, and it's basically an off or on situation. Okay.
Yeah.
So, looks like someone may have forgot to turn it back on. Everyone can over there crossing like with 4% left in his battery, so
yeah,
he's done 3 laps on those softs. I think he's treating this first half of the quality session as a practice session. You're not going to be improving your time after 3 laps, and he still looks like he's pushing here a little bit actually. So he's just trying to increase that fuel. Star Alv on a lap now, looking to improve.
I think basically he's just done the exact opposite of what Jimi Hendrix did. So Jimi Hendrix didn't use any battery, and he used all of his battery. Let's see what Star Alv can do. G'day out there, KB. I thought it was going to be a full qualifying. Well, drivers might be still coming in, but yeah, obviously we won't have a full qualifying. But we do have 14 gladiators out on track, so that's fantastic.
And KB at the moment's looking P4, so I wouldn't be too worried about this being a short qualifying session if he can finish up there. We had one driver, McLaren Senna. I think these are current tyres we're seeing on the board, and he set his lap on the mediums, I believe. So to be in P5, I don't know if we can check that. Not quite sure how.
No, I don't think so.
We can't check that. Right. Okay. I mean, that's fine. I think that he set his lap on the mediums. That's my understanding when he went out, that lap was done on the mediums. So if he can be 1.4 off the leaders on the mediums, and that's pretty impressive.
You're right, actually. Well, no, there's McLaren Senna's the only one on an outlap on those mediums. The other times, Verstappen did not set a time and not out of limit. That's the tyres that they use.
Okay. Yeah, so I think he set that lap on the mediums, and there should be a pretty big delta to be Verstappen backwards there. That's not where he wants to be.
He wants to crash test the front of that car, and you don't want to be doing that at 300 kilometers an hour. Well,
no, that was on his hot lap as well, so that's ruined this medium tyre run, to be honest. Yes, you want to start on the medium tyre if possible, which is kind of, that strategy is really compromised by the short qualifying format, so that's not really going to be an option anyway, I would have thought. But you don't want to be starting on medium tyres that have had a big spin like that. It just puts too much load and wear into the tyres, so it's going to be interesting. Val Hunt coming across the line, and he goes P2. He's found a little bit of time, 7 tenths off Lorenzo compared to the slightly bigger delta he had before that.
Yeah, not bad at all, actually. And there's Verstappen doing some lawn mowing. out of the
Can't tell if
6 and
he's just-
7. Or he's just slowing down,
It's hard to
actually.
tell if he's just getting out the way or because he did have a spin before, but he was quite far off the circuit there, to be honest. And maybe just tires all heated up from that spin and it's gone again. So
Yeah, he's got the medium tyres, obviously. You can see there's no fuel tank flashing, so he's probably he's gassed it for a couple of laps. And
It looks
actually,
like
my
he's
telemetry's
recharged the
just come up and
battery.
said he set the fastest middle sector of 19 seconds, which we know is absolutely wrong. So,
yeah, so not quite sure how he's managed to pull that one off. So
I think it's
he's
too
gonna
slow.
be
It's too slow. The telemetry's gone, well, it must be legit.
yeah.
Which is not. Yeah, anyway. Get that
Right,
fixed.
so he's going to start another lap on these mediums, which, I mean, there's not long left in qualifying, to be honest. I feel like this could be a strategic mistake. His teammates up in P2, so he can just he doesn't, on the softs, if they're both up there on the softs, they can work together anyway. So, for me, this is an unnecessary risk when his tyres are already pretty warm from that spin, and he's been on the grass with them a couple of times. They're not going to be in a temperature window he probably wants. So, I mean, let's see what kind of lap time he can produce. I think he's probably going to be too far down to where he really wants to be to take advantage of that tyre, considering the load and the wear it's already had put into it. But we will see. A little bit
He
away
could
from the
also
apex
be
there.
saving his soft tyres for the race as well, while the other drivers are using them for qualifying, which could be another strategy. Seeing it's a smaller grid, might have a bit of a chance to get your way through. There is just going through that lovely section there of the S's. Get that
Yeah,
one right,
absolutely.
it's
I mean,
good. Get it wrong, you're invalidating.
If he can take that alternate strategy of starting on the mediums, even if it's a little bit further down, and hold out for a safety car, then suddenly all those mistakes are made up for, and you get a much, much cheaper pit stop. Just coming through, once again struggling to reach the apex. But like we said, these corners are off camber, very, very understeery. That's what he's struggling with. You don't want to clip that inside pit wall there. We've all done that a couple of times. Coming down the main straight now, what can he do? Yeah, there we go. It's not going to be good enough. He's going to have to do a push lap now to get back to the pits, really.
Yeah, well, he's got now the gas tanks flashing a little bit. Is he going to back off? We'll see what his first sector time comes through with if he's going again. He's got battery. You can see it's about 62%. Should be able, no problems to do the rest of this lap.
It's like he's going again. Unless he sees he's massively up on his delta, I think we're going to see him box at the end of this lap and try and get out to go again on the mediums. He's just pushing to get back to the pits now.
We'll go probably in a second. We'll see. I just want to see his time. Yeah, it's too slow there, so he's definitely going to have to back off and go to the pits. What about his, down in the Williams of Outer Rim, about to cross the line for his first time on the medium tyres? This evening here in Hungaroring. He'll go up to P11. So not quite as quick as what Jimi Hendrix has been basically at the moment there on those medium tyres, P9.
Rather be P11 and P10, to be honest, in this race, or P9.
Yeah.
Personally, get that free tyre choice at the beginning. But he's on the medium anyway, so... And so is Jimi Hendrix, for that matter. Only guy in the top 10 and managed to get through on that medium.
But Jimmy's probably not in a bad position because if these other drivers do switch over to those softs and push him down, then they can put him right on that P10, P11 barrier, actually, which will help him out. So he's really got to rely on those other drivers pushing him down. If that was his fastest lap set on the mediums, which it was, because he's only ever been on the mediums. He's used 2 sets.
Yeah, no, that makes complete sense, to be honest. And that kind of... For me, in qualifying, if you're not going to be challenging for that top 6, I would rather be starting 11th, I think. Because you get that free tyre. Unless you can get 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th on the medium tyre. Especially around here, because those soft tyres are not going to last very long at all around here. I think we'll see him pitting very, very early into this race.
Yeah, he'll be boxing.
The guys on the softs.
Well, his first sector was pretty average, unless he does roll it out. No, he's got his fuel indicators flashing anyway. But this man's fuel indicator's not flashing, Mr. Gores, because it's white. Does that mean he's overfueled? What's going on? I've never seen that before.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure that. But see him coming around now. Made a buzz at the hybrid engine there. Going down the main straight very late on the upshifts. What's it going to be into turn 1? I thought he was going deep there, but actually hooked it up all right, considering it looked like it was going to be going very late into the corner. Oh, very wide there. Underset.
Yeah, but he can get back over that other side, swing it over there and try to get it. His first sector time will come up in a minute, as it should be triggered at this point here. It says 27.8. That's not going to cut it. Not if you want to be at the top of the timesheets, because 26.4 is what Lorenzo had set.
And very wide off the circuit there as well. Hits that curve big on the inside of the chicane. That's a technical, tricky final section. It's just understeering. Is he? I don't think he's picked up any damage, has he? So
No.
potentially he just needs to be running a couple more clicks on the front wing. I would have said, just from watching the onboard, unless he's had a spin and put too much temperature into those tyres on his outlap.
I think he's going to box because he's not improved on his personal best time, which wasn't that great because it's all the way 4 point something. But he's going to actually commit to it. No, he won't, because he's got no time. He might have time to get back out and get another lap in, I'm not sure. But if he does cross that line under full racing, he won't. So, yeah, he's decided to back off because he was not improving on his own personal time.
It's going to be very tight for him to get back out again now. In fact, I don't think he will get out. So that's going to be the end of qualifying for him. But like we said, those bottom 4 do get to start on any option of tyres that they want to. So it could be an advantage in a race. KB in chat as well saying that rain is forecast for the race.
Yeah, there is. Well, I've seen a forecast of overcast at this point, but not particularly a specific amount of rain yet. Well, that'll be determined once we get closer into the race, and that weather report can give us a little bit more detail. But overcast for sure, so we'll be colder than these temperatures currently for qualifying, as Tony's about to set his final lap for this evening for the AlphaTauri. Currently in P4. Let's see if he can get himself up to the front row. As the rain's starting to come down here, actually, so I can guarantee you forecast in Panama, it's raining. When doesn't it?
Going down now, he's very late on the brakes in a couple of these corners. Likes to a lot of trail braking, actually, looking compared to some of the other drivers. He's very heavy on the brakes initially and then rolls it off. Just a little tap on the brakes here. That's what you want to do. You want to get it hooked up nicely. Man, just keep it in 6th gear, which is going to be really good. Everybody's been very cautious about inside curve. That thing is absolutely deadly in one of these cars. It'll just send you spinning around. Takes the apexes very nicely in the chicane. That was satisfying. It's got to hook up. You got to hook up every curve in this sector if you want to have a good lap. They just sort of help to pull the car into the line that you want it to be on. A little bit far away from that one. It means it ran a little bit wide, but not wide enough to get the lap disallowed. Looks like he's sort of matching what he was previously able to do. So if we can have a good final sector, there's some time to be found. But there is a Ferrari going slowly ahead. Hopefully, shouldn't be losing him any time here. Maybe a little bit of a toe down the straight if he gets lucky. A little bit far back, I think. But let's see, what can you do? Nice exit from the final corner.
No improvement, Bob.
No, 1.4 temps down.
But McLaren Senna has on his time, but he's 7/10 off Lorenzo. So I think at the moment, there's a outer rim gets it out of the way. But there's traffic up ahead there for McLaren Senna. Fastest third sector went to Jim Hendricks, got up in a P2 at the Ferrari. But look at this, Obi-Wan Kenobi might be compromising him here. He's hit him.
Yeah.
Oh, that's absolutely throwing off McLaren's chances now of getting second row, because he was improving on his time. Might have started away from Jim Hendricks, but now not going to be a happy camper.
Yeah, not going to be happy about that. Especially when Obi-Wan Kenobi's not even competing for... At the moment, I mean, I don't know what his lap was going to be like, but his last lap wasn't going to put him anywhere near McLaren Senna on the grid, so it's not even a rival. It's almost like a Mazepin nearly crashing into a leader in an actual race, isn't it? It's that kind of situation there with someone lower down the grid getting in the way. But hopefully, Obi-Wan Kenobi can use that strategic P11 he's in at the moment to come through, and McLaren Senna will be able to fight from there, to be honest.
He might get... Well, Charlie could be improving here. So see if the Ferrari can get himself up maybe ahead of Tony. As he crosses the line now, he does. Right on the money where I called it. Yep, but that's 8/10 off. We have another driver improving, and that would be KB, man in the chat. And there it is on the money. He just did an invalidation, so nothing more for KB. Go down to outer rim now. Can he get himself up in the top 10? He's on the softs, 2 seconds off the pace.
Did that last time on the mediums there. He's a second up on his delta at the moment, it looks like. So this lap should shuffle him up to around 7th place once again, I'd say, just behind Tony, maybe even ahead if he gets a nice final sector. Yellow flags for slow moving cars, but that shouldn't be too much of an inconvenience, isn't it? What's it going to be?
Whoa.
I think I should shuffle him up to P3.
P3. Wow. Impressive lap without setting any purples or anything like that. That was good time. That's it for our qualifying session. Nobody else is going to improve. So Lorenzo will take that one. Good last lap there from Jimi Hendrix. As soon as he switched over to the soft tyres, it goes to show the pace that he had in that Ferrari. I will have to temporarily pause the stream in a minute because I need to put my headphones on because it's got bucketing down loud here and I can't hear anything. I need to hear you at least.
Yeah.
In a second. Jeez, I need to switch it over. We'll just wait for those results first, then I'll do it during the formation lap.
Yeah, it was a mighty lap from the Williams there to pull himself up into P3. Unexpected move, Lorenzo, perhaps less unexpectedly, P1 in this session, so it will be pole position for him. He'll be starting alongside the Ferrari, Jimi Hendrix, so Mercedes and Ferrari battling it out here. McLaren Senna, P4 in the Aston Martin, that's a nice lap. We saw he was on for an improvement, so he's going to have good pace in the race. Then Val Hunt in a Red Bull in P5 and P6 is going to be Charlie, so Red Bull and Ferrari on the third row. Then we got the Tony, Norch, KB and Verstappen making up the top 10. And 4 drivers behind that who are going to have free tyre choice for the race, which could be massive in terms of a strategy being able to pull off.
Yeah, be right back in a second, sorry. Let me just change this. Well, we should be good to go now if you give us tests of your audio. Whoop, I need to change something else too. 1 second. So many things to change. Should be good now. Give us a audio check, please.
Audio check, 1, 2, 3.
Excellent. All right, well, let's get ready to go racing here in Hungaroring in a second as the drivers load in for their formation. I'm not quite sure if they're going to be a formation lap or not. Lately, some people have been turning that off, hoping to avoid any of the D word we don't use issues.
Yeah. Getting a little bit annoying now, but I think they're sort of starting to clear up, aren't they, from Codemaster? And so I think the community is starting to find some little fixes which fix these bugs. So we have got a formation lap. Yeah, lap 0 you can see on the counter in the top 10. So those bottom 4 all taking that free tyre choice, but Starov, interestingly, I think a little bit out of position of where he would have wanted to be. So he's starting on the hard tyres and trying to go super long until that pesky rain we might have heard a rumour about. Although there is always a risk that doesn't come because it does look overcast, but no guarantee of rain. So Starov.
Well, according to the forecast that I've got from the FIA, there will be some rain coming later in this race. So expect to be switching over. There's going to be light rain for a short period of time too. So that's going to be interesting whether it's actually going to be heavy enough to switch to the inters or perhaps just gamble and stay on the dryers.
Well, there's big rewards either way. We saw at the Turkish Grand Prix this weekend, Sebastian Vettel taking a big gamble on the slick tyres and it not paying off. So we could see someone taking a big gamble on the intermediate tyres, it not paying off, but equally we could see it paying off massively. And those guys behind, starting on the mediums and the hards, will have better grip in the wet conditions, you would normally say, but also they will be able to wait longer for it to get wet enough for the inters to be required, but also they're going to be significantly slower over these first few laps. It's going to be interesting to see how the soft runners play on strategy as well, if they go for a one-stop onto the hard and try and make it to the end, or if they go for a set of mediums until they think they might need the inters. But like you said, it might not get wet enough for the inters.
It'll be interesting. One thing it'll certainly be is spicy. Do you also to get to that late stage, so we're going to hope that 14 of these drivers can find their way through and we don't lose some victims. This is Monaco without the barriers. Very, very good chance that there could be some sort of collisions and stuff like that occurring, especially down into that very, very tight turn 1 that we'll be experiencing anytime soon. And that's an opportunity there for Jimi Hendrix to try to take a run, obviously, on Lorenzo. And this game, starting in P2, is just as rewarding as starting on pole. Verstappen saying he can't see KB, so oops. Verstappen in P10. Anyway, go over to you. Race start.
4 lights on, 5 lights on. And we're racing in Hungary. Was that jump start further back from the Alpine and Mr. Goraz, or did he just get it perfect when no one else did? I guess we'll see further down. Lorenzo get a good start, run down into turn 1, followed by Jimi Hendrix. McLaren Senna made up a position, but he's going to get passed around the outside by the Williams. It looks like 3 wide into turn 1. Is that going to pay off for everybody? That was a Red Bull of Val Hunt getting involved in that as well. The Williams ahead of these 3 at the moment. But McLaren Senna looks penned in. He gets a little tap from Val Hunt there. That nearly ended much worse than it looked. Norwich has had a problem. He's been a spinner in turn 1. He's quite far off the back of his pack now. Lorenzo pulled away by about 8 tenths now. Jimi Hendrix following close. The Williams outer rim trying to catch up to them, but he's been pushed along almost at this point by Val Hunt. McLaren Senna just got such good purchase off a line in that Williams. This is KB trying to go down the inside of Tony, but he's not going to make it work. Tony's going to push him a little bit wide if he can, and he does. KB not able to get past that.
Yeah, very interesting battle at the moment. Hopefully he can see him. He said he was saying before at the start of the race that he could not see him. He has managed to get power, though we're tangling it out there. I'll show those position gainers and losers too from the start of this race so far. So not a lot, but unfortunately Notch is the only one who's tangling at the back there. Start to catch them, but obviously having some sort of damage. I think they're on
Renzo gained nearly a second in the middle and first half of the final sector here in that very, very twisty area. So he gained massive amounts of time over the guys behind, but now it looks like, I know, we're just having delta problems like we get on this game, but he pulled quite a big gap through that twisty section. Show was his outer rim trying to defend down the inside here, but that's going to give Val Hunt the inside for the next corner. But outer rim's just ahead, but not far enough to duck in, and Val Hunt sends it down the inside, and he's managed to get it done under the braking. He's pulled away, but that's going to give the Williams a better line through here. And a run up the hill. Looks like he might be a little bit too far back. Yes, he is, but he's going to try and have to follow him through all of his section now. But now McLaren Senna's going to be all over the back of him. So he needs to try and stay close to that Red Bull so that he can get a tow down the main straight. McLaren Senna even has a little bit of a look there. He was a little bit too far back to actually make the move, but he did have a look.
Yeah, this is bunching them all back up as well, too. The DRS will be activated on the next lap. Charlie's going to come into play. So I'm just going to see if I go back down to perhaps that Ferrari and then go on board the Ferrari and see those cars up ahead of McLaren Senna and outer rim, as you can see.
Yeah, everyone very close together. Surprisingly, considering how, you know, it's difficult to get past it. Oh, big slide. Big moment there from Charlie on board. He keeps it in a straight line somehow. Looked like it was going round, then looked like he caught it, then looked like it was going round again, but somehow managed to keep it all in one piece.
Yeah, that's the main thing, isn't it? Keeping it out of the barriers. So a little bit of a heart in throat moment. And once again, look at that. Look at the Red Bull of Verstappen. He's going to try to seize that opportunity while his tyres are a little cooked in that Ferrari. And there should be maybe the Red Bull going through. They're going to do that side by side.
Outside, and that's going to, like we said before, going to give him the inside for the next one. So he's trying to recover the position. He lost that's a big tap there. But it's got to get him through, it looks like. Yeah, Verstappening's off the track there, actually, onto the grass. Ooh, in front of him nicely.
And it's about to be overtaken by Obi-Wan Kenobi. He's going to seize that opportunity. So he's following backwards. Oh, a little bit of a tap in the background there.
And the Red Bull, I'm going to say, punts the sister team off the track there. It's like, you're not getting past me, guys. So Lorenzo pulled 2.5 seconds ahead of Jimi Hendrix, and then 1.3 to Verstappen, who is still being chased by outer rim. And they are going to have DRS this time on the main straight. But looking sort of physical distances and on the timing screen, McLaren Senna much closer to the back of the Williams, and the Williams is to the back of Red Bull. Even has a little bit of a sneaky look there, just trying to force a mistake. You kind of need to be doing that here, forcing the drivers ahead to push more than they want to, forcing them into a mistake, just, you know, getting in their mirrors, making sure they know you're there. Williams is going to try and take a nice wide line here to set up the exit, and that looks like it's worked actually. Verstappening's retired from the session now.
Yeah.
And that's going to be a safety car.
He can't see the he's lost it out of turn 13, it looks like. There's a safety car coming out of the pits right now, but they'll get to go past it.
Don't hit the safety car, guys.
Yeah, Tony's behind that safety car right now. Does Tony have to stay behind the safety car? No, he doesn't. The safety car is...
They should all be let pass until the leaders are caught up with it.
So let's go those tyres. So Notch is going to box there back in P13.
That makes sense. He had a difficult start. He lost a lot of positions, and he's going to be able to catch the train now as well. But because I can't remember how the delta works. I think he won't have to go slow on this lap, or too slow anyway, because the original extra slow delta that you get on the first lap of safety car should have been cleared. So he'll be able to catch the back of his pack now, and then probably come out ahead of anybody else at pits as well.
That's absolutely good. So it could work out for him when he was plump blast after that first corner incident, as my electricity goes flashing around for a second because I'm in a thunderstorm. So Verstappen, I'm not quite sure what happened. You're saying you can't see KB. We saw you're racing around there. So that's quite interesting. We don't know if...
He's not even sure what happened. I think the KB thing was a couple of laps before. He wasn't battling KB anymore. He was battling with, I believe, Obi-Wan Kenobi and Charlie in that last lap. He just lost it here. So I don't know if it was that difficult final corner, but we said he's very understeery. Lorenzo's coming into the pits. He doesn't want these soft tyres on anymore. He wants something that'll go until the rain comes down, and everybody is following him in.
So see if Obi-Wan Kenobi stays out. That's going to be the key, isn't it? Yes, he does.
Yeah, of course he does.
Mediums.
And now it's all about how much do you get held up by being in that Mercedes pit box for Lorenzo. Looks like not too much. Is he even going to beat some of these guys out of the pit lane? Only two cars are going to get ahead of him, it looks like. Williams goes for the mediums. Lorenzo went for the hards. That's important. Everyone else has gone for the mediums. Lorenzo may be thinking this rain isn't going to warrant the intermediates. Everyone else thinking we're going to need those inters or we're going to need a two-stop.
Well, now Lorenzo's got out, and you think about that. He's got a gap of Starov and Mr. Gores ahead of Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to benefit him, really.
Jimmy. Now he's got a buffer there from Jimmy.
Yeah, he's got that buffer, 2 cars, and yes, he is behind Hoare and Obi-Wan Kenobi. They're 2 cars I would imagine that he will find more easy to clear than Jimi Hendrix will find more easy to clear. And although you would say Jimi Hendrix, Lorenzo's fighting for this title from day one. He knows he's in with a very, very good chance of winning this. He can afford to not make moves. He can afford to finish a position down on maybe where he could and not take too many risks getting past these guys. But Jimi Hendrix will, and I would say for a lot of the other guys here, maybe don't see themselves as championship challengers at this point and are more just going for the race win, and they will be more willing to take those risks and go for the slightly longer lunges. Nothing dangerous, of course, but the stuff where maybe you're at slightly more risk of clipping your front wing, something like that. So there's that to take into consideration. Looks like we've already got safety car in this lap.
Yep, we do. So Obi-Wan Kenobi is going to be in a safety car. Can he use the force of that Honda and perhaps drive it in a galaxy far, far away? We're going to find out. There's your Star Wars reference. Let's go. It should be any second now. He's going to hit that lab pedal.
Oh my God, he's bunching them up a lot. That nearly ended badly for Lorenzo, nearly into the back of that Alfa Romeo.
Let's see if he can do the Kessel's run. Let's see if he can do the Hungario run in 2.7 parsecs. Let's go. Loud pedal to the AlphaTauri.
Lines it up perfectly, and that's worked really well for Lorenzo. He's got a very good run on Hoare. It's worked well for Obi-Wan Kenobi. He's pulled away. Lorenzo probably going to send it into the braking zone here. Is he? Yes, he is. Oh, when the 2 Alphas touch.
Yeah, we lost Mr. Gores actually going all around.
Mr. Gores, yeah.
Dropping like a 1929 stock exchange. He's got a whole bunch of foam in his...
He's collected the braking boards.
There we go. Let's go back to Tony, and there's a bit of a tangle at the back here at the moment. There it is, as they all fly through the camera at top speed around that corner. I wouldn't want to be that cameraman. You don't need to. Thank God it's one of those. But Lorenzo at the front of the field here is already putting pressure on Obi-Wan Kenobi on the hard tyres. So he's found temperature in them. Left, right, and centre.
Obi-Wan Kenobi is not going to give up this position. He'll fight. He knows Lorenzo has more to lose than he does. So why let this guy pass unless you want to try and be pulled along by him? But there's not going to be any DRS to help you with that yet. So Lorenzo's not going to... Oh, is he? If I was Lorenzo, I would not be going for a move in this section. I would be waiting until that main straight, where you're going to get a much bigger toe in a much longer braking zone.
But it is Lorenzo, that's the thing. And anything is possible. It is possible with this man.
Around the outside, is this going to end well? He thinks better. He gives a wide berth to the AlphaTauri, but that's going to set up a nice little slingshot here for him.
Come on, Cody's. Give me a camera angle, please. There you go. Side by side at the turn 1. Who's got the inside line? Lorenzo will, but he's going to have to brake a lot earlier. And he does.
Oh, and that works perfectly. He gets it done into turn 1. We never see a move finished in turn 1 here.
And on hard tyres, remember, they are very difficult to get the temperature up into them after a safety car. Lorenzo has just proven, well, the hard tyres are not that difficult, especially when you're the lights of a Mercedes driver.
Yeah. And
KB at the moment. Let's go down to this battle in the midfield.
Jimi Hendrix and Outer Rim have not been able to get past those cars ahead yet. So he's now going to be able to pull massive gaps to them because they're still stuck in this traffic.
Yeah, we'll talk about Jimi Hendrix right now. Let's go up to the Ferrari driver. He's got to get past Starov. Starov has got the little bit older tyres, you know. Jimi Hendrix has got some fresh medium rubber on there, but he's going to have to try to take them to the end of this race. Now, in fact, he's going to take them to the rain coming in about 30 minutes' time, I'd say. So that could be a good strategy call for him. However, he's got to get past that Alfa Romeo. It's holding him up right now.
I'm surprised we're not seeing him just pull out of the toe from the car ahead, just to let him know you're there and let him know you're thinking of a move. It helps psychologically put the driver ahead more likely to make a mistake if you're just putting a lot more pressure on them. Vile Hunt looking for a bit of clean air through that corner, but he's not going to find it.
Yeah, it's bunching everybody up. Outer rims now on the tailpipe of the Ferrari. Valley's there. Val, you said McLaren sent us into play. KB's now coming into this train. So, yeah, Jimi Hendrix knows he's going to get it done. He's going to get it done soon. No DRS activated just yet to help him on that. Outer rim's going to be safe. If you don't get it done, my friend, I'm going to get past you. So that's going to be close.
Yeah, outer rim and Jimi Hendrix not making the moves I expect, especially they're on the fresh mediums, like you say, and Starov is on the old hards. There's a 5-lap tyre difference between them anyway, and the mediums are the softer compound. You would expect a lot more grip out of them, and tyre grip, lateral grip is what you need around the structure, what the tyre is meant to give the cars. So Starov clearly becoming a bit of a bottleneck here. I mean, we can see Hoare and Oberon Kenobi even pulling away from him now, nearly 2 seconds ahead. That does mean I think they should have DRS this time round, and Starov, is not going to have the DRS, so this should be a relatively easy move for Jimi Hendrix, unless he's needing to fuel save or something, but it's a very early stage in the race to be thinking about anything like that.
Got to get a good exit out of 14 here, that they're coming around now. Final corner. This is where you want to get a perfect exit, as Lorenzo's just going further up the road. Can Jimmy get a better exit? It looks like he can. He should get that DRS activation now down the main straight. Is he going to have enough track left? Time? Yes, he will. Starov is going to make sure it's going to make it difficult as possible so to get him off the racing line to brake. And he does get it done, and that's going to be a huge relief.
Saw a car going very deep back there.
It's Charlie, I think.
Oh,
yeah,
in a bit of
damage.
a mess there, I think. A couple of drivers caught
Outer
up
rim
in
gets
that.
past as well, so Starov's going to start dropping.
Lorenzo's off ahead.
Lorenzo's off? Wow.
Lorenzo's losing positions. He's spun.
There he is. He's got no front wing.
Yeah, I caught that on mine. He lost it on the exit of that last corner and went straight into the barrier.
Oh, that's uncharacteristic. So look at this midfielder pack here. As some of those drivers there have end plate damaged, and so they're dropping left, right, and centre. This has really spiced things up, hasn't it? So, and not to mention the rain coming as well. That's going to definitely come into play. So what does Lorenzo do now? He's going to have to box maybe just on mediums for sure.
To box for mediums and then hope that he can get the rain call perfect, because that's that was a massive mistake for him. That's cost him easy points, you would have said, when everyone else was just stuck behind these slower cars. Pushed Jimi Hendrix in a very strong position to take this win for Ferrari, though. P3 at the moment, he's in a massive, this is a massive moment for him. He can go and win this race if he can get past these cars.
There's a challenge for the lead at the moment, but Kobe and Hort. Hort's going to try to drive around the outside here into turn 1, but the inside lane will go back to Kobe, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and then it always goes down to this battle in the turn 2, doesn't it, as they go side by side generally around here. But
and these drivers on the alternate strategy put themselves in the perfect position to fight for the win of this race now that Lorenzo's had his issues and has been into the pits. So Hort and Obi-Wan Kenobi are genuinely fighting for the lead of this race. It's not the net lead, it's not the lead because of pit stops, it's the actual lead, but Hort's made a mistake, and that's given Obi-Wan Kenobi a nice gap and let Jimi Hendrix through. So Jimi Hendrix now going to be the next one challenging Vile Hunt here, looking for a move on the Williams at outer rim ahead. Just needs to try and find a little gap to slot through. But outer rim just looks so perfectly online and mistakeless, even if he's not quite pushing too much. He's not making any mistakes, and you need the driver ahead to be making mistakes to help you make the move around it. He's pushing so much more. You can see how Violent is just so much more aggressive on the turning, just trying to find some pace somewhere and braking later. And Hort's deep. Hort is struggling on these tyres now.
Yeah, Hort
and
is.
If he's got some damage, I wouldn't be getting around the outside of him there, to be honest.
But he did. Valen did. He knows that Hort's struggling, so he's just taking advantage of it, just as Outer Rim did. He says, okay, well, there you go. The tyres are a little bit cooked, my friend, so I need to get past you and quickly, and he did.
He's looking for a move for the lead, I think, further up the road. Yes, he is. He's going to the outside this time. Can he make it work? No. Oh, they bang wheels. He's going to give him the inside for the next corner.
And the DRS. Yes.
He's got to do it in the braking zone. It's not fully passed yet, and that's going to give the inside next. Bit of wheel banging there.
There is definitely a bit of wheel banging.
When you go inside, try and go side by side into that corner. No damage, it looked like, at least visibly, for Jimi Hendrix, but outer rim's going to be thinking this is working out nicely for me. These guys battling, taking life out of the tyres. And we're pulling away, but really now this is a 7-car fight for the lead all the way down to Norwich. I'd say everyone else behind that a little bit further back. So we're going to see those guys pushing a lot and maybe hoping for a safety car when the rain comes, possibly. But Obi-Wan Kenobi's going to be under a massive amount of pressure again this time. Jimi Hendrix knows he has the pace advantage here. He just needs to get this done cleanly and not pick up any damage. Obi-Wan Kenobi, though, is going to be fighting for all it's worth. P12, I believe, in qualifying, and now fighting for the lead of this race with the alternate strategy. He's not letting anyone through.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't have to. It is race on. He wants to make it as difficult as possible so that they do chew through those tyres. And out there, it's not a full grid because obviously with these issues with the game that we won't mention, but that's been occurring lately. But trust me, once it all is resolved. But back to the front here we go. Once again, resuming, isn't it? Obi-Wan Kenobi trying his absolute best. He wants to defend the red side of the Force, the dark side of the Force beat. Jimi Hendrix to him. Jimi Hendrix this time around says, no, I'm going to take it. And guess what? Outer rim says...
He's going to try and follow him through, yeah. He's going to get a good move up the hill. Oh, and that's a little tap there. It's getting messy here. It's getting really messy. Outer rim knows he needs to clear the Alpha Tauri as soon as possible so that Jimi Hendrix doesn't pull away easily.
These guys currently, they are still bunched up. If you go down to the man that just set the fastest lap, Lorenzo, he's 27 seconds off this battle at the front. But get it this way, the top 7 at the moment are separated by 2 seconds. Can you believe that?
And Jimi Hendrix has pulled out of DRS range of Obi-Wan Kenobi now, so the Alpha Tauri isn't even going to get the tow and the DRS from the driver ahead. So outer rim now needs to get past Obi-Wan Kenobi, preferably before Vile Hunt does as well, because then he can try and get out of DRS range as well, and then put the charge on towards Jimi Hendrix. I would say outer rim looks like he's been driving in a way, to me, that's going to preserve those tyres a bit more as well, which could be really beneficial here. But Vile Hunt also thinking about the move into turn 1. We can see him following for the strategy. That's a big squeeze from Obi-Wan Kenobi. Can Vile Hunt thread it through anywhere? He's going to try. He's going to try the double, it looks like. But he's going to get boxed in here, I think, between the Williams and the Alpha Tauri. A little bit of a tap. Nowhere for him to go, but he goes round the outside. He's going to make it into a switch for the inside on the Williams. What a move this could be. Oh, and he has to lift off. You can't go side by side into that corner. Lorenzo saying fastest laps, trying to make up this time, but he's going to have to do a lot of those sort of pace laps to catch up. Obi-Wan Kenobi really struggling now on these medium tyres. I think he'll want to go as far as possible towards the rain, but it's looking harder and harder to make those tyres last now. The leaders need to learn from this, so the tyres will start to fall away. We saw Hort struggle with that drop off a lot earlier on as well. You can't afford to get them dirty or anything as well, because that looks like it takes a couple of laps after a mistake to get them back into the temperature range you want. Overheating always a problem around here. We've got the Alpine of KB off in the middle sector as well, it looks like. There's going to be another position for Lorenzo if he can catch him in time. Outer rim, though, not pulled away from Vile Hunt like he needs to. 3 tenths between, so it looks like Vile Hunt's going to go for a move on the inside. The final corner, no. So you don't want to be doing that, but he's going to get DRS now, down towards turn 1. Leave it as late as you can. Say tucks behind. Where does the Williams place his car? He goes for the middle of the road, leaves it up to Vile Hunt, who has to try and go around the outside and can't get it done under braking. And gets sort of trapped in behind the Williams on the acceleration zone. So that's not helping. It's going to force him to be outside here, and that's going to be a very difficult move to pull, and that was close to contact. He's going to try and go around the outside now, and oh, it's a big bump. That's a big bump. Is a Red Bull still going? Yes, he is.
Yeah, it's racing on, isn't it? They're just gun-hoing it left, right, and centre. We're on lap 14 of 35, so we're getting close to the halfway point of this race. But don't tell these gladiators out here. They just want to go and go and go, and they absolutely are. Looks like Carl off in the background there. That was Kenobi. I caught it just to the edge of the camera angle, I think. He went really wide. Yes, he did.
He's gone wide. He doesn't have any visible front wing damage that I can see, so maybe he's struggling massively with tyres, or maybe picked up a little bit of front wing damage just not showing up in the game.
Porter's doing a fantastic job in P4 on those 13-lap tyres. And Notch now has tried to get past him. Notch is one of the drivers nursing a 3-second penalty, the only penalty so far, which is quite good considering this track is punishing on track limits. But yeah,
it's surprising.
Hort is going to hold him up as much as possible. It's going to help Hort. But Hort's in that difficult situation, isn't it? Knowing that rain is, because Obi-Wan Kenobi's boxing, knowing that the rain's coming, but still, maybe in about 10 minutes' time.
is massively down on the pace now, but he's just trying to hold on until that rain comes, because you don't want to box and then box 2 laps later for the rain tyres, because even if you're 2-3 seconds a lap slower, then that you lose all that time still. It's not worth the extra pit stop if you can avoid it. See a little bit of spacing now, because Norch is now starting to pick up the pace a little bit. He's catching on to the leaders, but outer rim just battling with Vile Hunt, and that's meant that Jimi Hendrix, big off for Hort there.
Hort, yeah, he's pushed it too far for those tyres, and and that might have been a good idea for Obi-Wan Kenobi that just boxed before, because if he didn't, look what happens. He can't stretch those tyres anymore. Did he get damaged?
Yeah, I don't even know if he's got any front. No, he's got no front wing left.
That's cost it. That's risking it for the biscuit, and unfortunately, there's no snacks, no afternoon tea and cookies, tea and biscuits for him. Only a front wing.
It's really going to be a situation of how long can you keep these tyres on now, I reckon, for these top guys. So guys like Outer Rim, who just from the driving style that we sort of saw from the off-board cameras, looks like he's taking a little bit more careful. He's minding his own business, not worried about the people around him. He's taking care of his tyres more than the others are. But Jimi Hendrix up front might be using a little bit more tyre, but he's already pulled 3.5 seconds to these guys by getting the move done on Obi-Wan Kenobi much earlier, and these guys battling. So it's got to be another attempt for the move from the Red Bull. Vile Hunt's probably spent more time trying a move in turn 1 than he has just driving through turn 1 on his own at this point. He's going to go for the outside now down towards turn 2. Hort gets a penalty for track limits. Oh no, speeding in the pit lane, sorry.
Yeah,
Red Bull's on the inside, push the Williams out wide. They're going to be side by side going into the quick left-hander here, it looks like. Oh no, and the Red Bull just sweeps ahead. Outer Rim's got to hold on now to this position. Just keep doing what you're doing before. Don't worry about the driver ahead. Drive your line. That's how you're going to keep up with him. But Norch smells a weakness here from Outer Rim and knows that this is the time to pounce now, when he's not used to driving in that dirty air. He's not used to driving behind somebody. Use that to your advantage. You've got a lot of practice in this traffic so far this race. You have the advantage here. See how the gap elongates in this twisty section. And then we're going to see them bunch up again into the corners.
Yeah, I've removed the track map there for a second so that we can get that tyre performance graphic that comes up randomly. It'll give you a good indication of what the tyres percentages will be. That's something the Codemasters implemented, but I had to turn the track map off in order to get that to come up, so I apologise if you don't know that. You can't see the dots on the track map out there for you guys, but I have them in the telemetry.
Yeah, that's it's good. It'd be an interesting stat to see on some of these guys who have had some, Starov now, he's 15 seconds back, but he's on those hard compound tyres. If he can stay till the rain, but the others can't, that could be a massive advantage for him.
He's got one problem. This man is about to overtake him, which he expected to be. There's a camera angle from Cody's would have worked right before, but it's perfect. Lorenzo now up backing up into P6, slicing his way back up after that very rare mistake that the championship leader has made. But just keep an eye on that 15-second delta to McLaren Senna, because it's going to be slicing through that left, right, and centre. And he can, if rain's coming, that's going to also be the tricky part, isn't it? Because if the rain does come, is it going to be wet enough to start switching over to those inters?
It's 2 mistakes in 2 races for Lorenzo, which have cost him big points. He needs to try and make up for this now. He's 15 seconds back off that pack. I reckon he can make up a second a lap. So he's not out of this yet, but it's just how much he has to chew up the tyres to make up that difference.
Back to Charlie with some fresh boots as well, about to put some pressure on KB. As you can imagine, we've seen that tyre difference, about half lap tyre difference makes a lot of difference. We get a move on done soon, otherwise I might have to switch it back over to the top, well, the guys battling at the moment for P3. So this is your time to shine there, Charlie, while the camera's on you. No pressure. You see if you get past KB. KB's not an easy driver to get past as well. You can make that Alpine as wide as possible.
A lot of laps on those tyres, KB. 5 more laps than Charlie does, like you said, nearly half the life of them. So Charlie should have a big grip advantage here. I think we're going to see people want to take a different line in the final corner. I mean, it doesn't look like anybody is, but I would be... Oh, but KB a little bit wide there, and that gives Charlie a beautiful exit. He's got DRS as well. Inside for turn 1, is he even going to be passed by... He's passed by the time they're into turn 1. Yeah. Always risky to swipe in front of another driver and take that nice clean air away from their front wing in the braking zone, but he was brave and he did it, and he made it work.
Yeah, you can see KB got a little twirly whirly coming out of that corner too. He put the power down, and then the rear was slipping a little bit, but he managed to keep it. But it cost him a little bit of time, certainly at this level. You got to remember, too, these guys are pretty damn close. They're all pretty much bunched up at the top still. You're still looking at the top 5 separated by about 6 seconds. So one little mistake, one little costly mistake that we saw there from Obi-Wan Kenobi Sorry, from Obi-Wan Kenobi from Hort. It's going to cost you a lot of positions right now, as well as Lorenzo. Lorenzo's Charlotte down to 13 seconds off the bat there. They're just praying for that rain to come and help him out with that one.
Ralph picks up a time penalty there, so that's an unfortunate one. So since they stopped battling quite as much, they're still very close, but they're not side by side in every corner anymore. Jimi Hendrix has started to come a little bit closer to these guys. He's not got a pace advantage, I'd say, anymore. They're very equal on pace. Sometimes a bit of an advantage towards Valent and Outer Rim, but he might just be giving those tyres a little bit of care because he used a lot of grip to pull away from those guys. I think that's clear because he was doing a lot quicker lap times. Obi-Wan Kenobi gets past Starrel a little bit further back. It looks like Starrel back past it. What's going on down there? Oh, nice little battle through turn 1 and 2. It looks like the classic
18-lap hard tyres. The only man who's yet to box is that Starrel. He's got to push them all the way until the rain comes, which might be a really good strategy. If he times it right, that's going to be the key, isn't it? But back into this battle where Notchi is, McLaren Center are all just in place. That's going to be really, really tight because you got to think about it. We saw Hort make that damage, have a bit of a spin, and there's a car, I think, just getting completely out of the way in the background there, getting blue flagged. But you saw that spin on 13-lap tyres, and that's also when Obi-Wan Kenobi boxed those mediums. So now you're getting to a point where, okay, it rains about 10 minutes from now. That's a few laps to do on these worn mediums. So you got to be keeping that car on the track.
It's like that's another 6 or 7 laps, I'd say.
Yeah.
Probably more actually on these tyres. So you're really going to be pushing the softs to the medium, to their limit. I'd say it's getting messy here, isn't it?
Yeah, it's because they're all struggling for the traction. You can see. So they want to keep up the pace. They want to try to make the overtakes, obviously, or defend your position. However, the car's not sticking in the usual places that it does, and that's throwing people off. And there's your tyre performance graphic coming up. There it is on the screen. You can see that. So that 32%. For Notchi and about 31, so they're pretty similar on tyres. So they're not too bad, but they've got to do a few more laps, remember, with the rain coming.
Yeah, and I know with that it's 32% of the 100% that the tyres can supposedly take, but 31% is quite a lot of wear to have on a tyre in this game. It's not going to be anywhere near as fun to drive as it is when you put a fresh set on. It's going to be interesting to see how much rain we get and at what level of rain these guys think, right, I'm going to be into, because yes, the Inter is going to be slower, but you're going to be significantly slower on these tyres than you were on a fresh set at the start of the race.
Yeah, worn medium tyres on a slippery track is in Monaco without the barriers. Well, with the barriers, actually, because you will end up into those in this case. That's going to be the tricky part. We see how, that speed difference there from the McLaren, I think. Not just yet.
Oh.
Notch and Outer Rim are out of...
Well, you absolutely cannot afford at this point in the race is having to pit for front wing damage, because that's going to cost you so much time, and you're going to be in probably for the Inters at some point. So Norwich got that move done. That's put him up into P3. Now it's all to see if Outer Rim can hang on behind, because he needs to hang on and get back past in the next overtaking zone if he can.
Jimi Hendrix still leading this race from Valou. That's interesting, 3-second gap there, and that's Notch there down the road. You can see him up there in P3 currently. So that's the point now where these tyres are starting to struggle a little bit with the traction, as you can see. And you've still got to wait for that rain and pray for that rain to come. But it's 10 minutes, and if the rain comes in 10 minutes, you get a few drops. It takes a few more minutes after that in order to get greasy enough or slippery enough. But then
I think I can see some rain now, or either that or my eyes are just going funny.
I spilled a beer.
There is some rain coming down.
Oh, there is. I thought it spilled a
there is some rain coming now. Yeah.
And Biggles, you've gone really quiet, just letting you know. Yeah.
Oh. I have. Well, I don't know. Let me check my levels. Better. Okay, I probably need to project a little bit more. It's pouring down rain here. It's really hard to hear everything. It's I'm bringing the rain with me here to Hungary.
Yeah. We can see the rain now, so it's getting heavier. It really is getting heavier. So, but it looks like it's... No, we can't see it. It looks like it's more concentrated around the back half of the circuit, actually, which is strange. I don't really see that much, but you can see it a lot better on board. If you look at the halo of Lorenzo's Mercedes, you can see it. He's closed up massively to these guys. So for him, it's all about when do I take the Inter tyres? When do I, take that risk? Because there's a lot of time to be gained here, and someone that's out of position but also has a 6-second buffer behind them. Why not take that gamble? To be honest, you can only gain from here, really. I don't think he's going to lose a position by pitting a lap too early for the Inters.
He's in an absolutely fantastic position because his tyres are much fresher than the other guys. Well, obviously, Obi-Wan Kenobi's tyres are brilliant right now. Obi-Wan Kenobi can really just push it as much when the track starts to get a little wet, but not too wet where you have to fully switch over the Inters. Well, the other guys are going to struggle.
Down. He's down to 5 seconds now off the back of McLaren Senna. So he is gaining massively. Vile Hunt's closed that gap to Jimi Hendrix a lot. Norch just closed that gap to Vile Hunt. Outerrim's fallen back a little bit from Norch, but Norch does have a penalty, remember. I think one of the first guys we'll see commit to that Inter might actually be Outerrim because he's falling back on these tyres. So he might be the one who first takes that commitment. If the rain gets heavy enough, that's the thing. It might just be that it's slippy conditions and we don't reach the Inter level. So, but there's 12 laps to go at this intensity. So let's see if it gets any heavier and if it gets heavy enough for the slick tyre.
I believe it will be. I do believe it will. The race will finish on Inters that I see in the weather report. So it will definitely be wet enough for somebody to risk it for the Inters. I'd say, but to risk staying out. This is a very difficult part of the moment of the track, isn't it, for these guys who are, on the 17 laps, the top 5, they're all close. They're separated by 7 seconds as well. So any little call right now, it can give you a chance of winning this race. But when do you do it?
Lorenzo's closing up massively. He can. Those younger medium tyres will be able to keep more heat in them as well. That's the important thing as well. The younger tyres will be better in these slippy conditions than the older ones. The older ones are already horrible, never mind when it gets wet. So he can probably stay out another lap on his guys ahead. And look at how much he's gaining now, but look at how much Val Hunt is gaining on Jimi Hendrix as well. That gap's down to a second out front.
Oh, yeah, and he has. Yeah, look at that. Jimmy's made a mistake somewhere, or he's backing off heavily.
Does he have DRS? I don't believe he has DRS this time. No. Might get it next time, but that's going to bring him massively close. Just a toe down there, you will see.
You'll get it here, right here.
I think it's just one detection zone. It's just one detection zone before the final corner, so he's not going to get it. Unfortunately for him, we've got a yellow flag somewhere. That has got to be.
That's Hort, I think.
15, sector 3.
Yeah, it's Hort.
Yeah,
and he's on the soft tyres as well. So that means boxing. So some of these drivers are going to take advantage of that. Charlie, knowing the rain's coming, okay, it's only a virtual safety car. It's only a very, very short virtual safety car. But let's have a look. Inters are going on for one of the teams.
That's Alpine with the Inter tyres as well.
Yeah,
it looked like in the pit lane.
So that's interesting.
This is going to be the indicator. What are their sector times going to be like? What are their lap times going to be like to the leaders? I think we see Lorenzo catching the back of McLaren Senna now. He's made up that time that he needs to make up. I think we're going to see him box for the Inters this time and try and undercut a load of guys ahead of you. We see a big wobble there. It's definitely time for the Inters.
Yeah, this is going to be fantastic. Any one of these 6 drivers now on the top here can win this race.
Outerrim is massively struggling. McLaren Senna's trying to overtake him on the way into the pit lane. This could get messy. Are they all going to die for pit lane? Oh, for McLaren Senna. He's into the barrier. He's lost front wing. He's going to have to go to pit lane. Yeah. Spin it around and go to the pit lane. Put the Inters on now. Do not try and stay out.
He can't even turn around.
It's going to have to be a 3-point turn. Oh, that is costly. Outerrim into the pit lane. Outerrim is taking those soft compound tyre. The Inters, sorry. We see Tony further back has taken the Inters as well.
What's that?
Yeah, Hort's been off again. He's still on these soft compound tyres. Go for the Inters. Why are you still out? You already had the spin beyond those Inters now. No one in the top 4 takes the Inters out of him. This could be his moment to regain what he had earlier on in the race.
Yeah, but keep an eye on those deltas when they come back around after a full lap, which we should have from some of the other drivers at the back there that boxed early, Charlie and KB. Let's see what Jimi Hendrix is going to do right now. He's in a difficult position. Does he stay out and struggle right now, the traction? He does have company. It looks like another local yellow. Who's
yellow in sector 3.
I think they're back on track now, but yeah.
Not sure who that was, but I think that might have been Hort's car, actually. Yeah, it looks like it, because that's the car going slow there. These guys, they're all struggling so much. Ooh. Oh! Did he just hit the back of that blue flag Alpha?
Yeah.
Is that going to give him wing damage as well?
Is it ghosting on or off?
No. There's ghostings off, but Val Hunt makes a move. They're all struggling so much. And does that give him the move into the pit lane? Yeah, they're all coming in. They're all coming in. So anyone she's saying out, they're all 3 of them into the pit lane.
They've got to. They have to now. Oh, look at Lorenzo. He's almost having it taken.
In the pit lane.
Oh, it's because Hort's a ghosted car. And that's going to be very frustrating. And lucky he didn't lose the front wing. I don't think Lorenzo did. Sorry, what you're saying there, Gez?
I believe Hort was disconnected there as well.
Yeah, he
because
was.
the X next to
Sorry.
his name.
Yeah. I think something went wrong with his connection,
So
or he
Jimi
left the
Hendrix
game.
is
But he's had
front
to
wing
change
change.
the wing.
Yeah.
He had to change the front wing for that collision, and he's not got inters on. He's not put the inter tyres on.
Oh no.
He's put fresh mediums on.
He's probably
He's thrown away
frustrated.
the race.
He's probably absolutely frustrated at that little late incident, and now that's
It was
cost him.
into the pit lane. It looks like
Kenobi stayed out. That's a gamble.
it looks very wet on this circuit now.
Oh, Jimi Hendrix, the Ferrari team must be kicking themselves. He's probably just upset about that. Didn't get a chance to flip through, because that happened very last minute too, remember? Didn't get a chance to decide with the team. Okay, switch to the inters, and they made a
Maybe had a
mistake.
big slide there. He's not going to be keeping it on this track. This is Lorenzo now looking for a way past, I believe it must be a blue flag Alpine, maybe Mr. Goraz.
Yeah, it's
Lorenzo
also an
getting a time
AI, I
penalty.
believe.
Yeah,
It's
Mr.
weird. The
Goraz
AI aren't
is-
responding to blue flags very well under wet conditions.
They're not. So this is interesting as well. Starov still on the same tyres he started the race with, has not switched over to the inters. Still playing that gamble. It's wet, but is it wet enough? I'm just trying to get an idea of the times now, because all the craziness just happened at once, to get an idea of what the fastest laps are, or not. And that's Mr. Goros getting completely lapped.
I've got to say, Jimi Hendrix, the pace doesn't look slow.
No, it doesn't.
Actually, here.
Is
It
Obi-Wan
doesn't look
Kenobi? But then Obi-Wan Kenobi's also on those medium tyres.
Yes, yeah. Well, I have to see once we get sort of a relative delta to somebody else, but genuinely, it doesn't look anywhere near as bad as I thought it
They're
would.
both boxing.
But he's coming in anyway, so clearly he thinks it's going to get... Well, it does look like it's getting worse, to be honest. So
Do we have a
you might be
DRS
able to
disabled yet? I didn't even see it.
I didn't see it pop up. If it did, Lorenzo's close to making a move for P2. It looks like further up. This has put Alta Rim back up into P4, so forgiveness for Petalace has lost earlier down at Williams, but...
Yeah, I'll put the track map
There's
back
7
on,
seconds
because there's no point showing the tyre graphic anymore, because they're all on fresh inters apart from Starov. And Hort, we all know Hort's disconnected, so you wouldn't be out on soft tyres right now. And this track, as you can see, clearly is now perfect inter conditions.
So Lorenzo had his off last weekend, last week
finally
in the wet conditions. Yeah, Starrell stayed out a bit too long on those hard
It's
compound
wet for him,
tyres. He
but
started the
13
race
up
on.
to 7, stretching those hard tyres 27 laps, so that's pretty good, I'd have to say. Good strategy. Definitely getting a lot of positions. Sorry, what you're saying?
Yeah, now he needs to use his inters to gain as much as he can. I was saying Lorenzo had a mistake last time out in the wet, which caused a DNF, so he can't afford that this time round. He needs to try and make him... He's sliding a lot. He needs to try and make a move. Top 3 all carrying penalties. I assume they're all 3-second penalties for track limits. It's going to be...
But have a look at this now. This is the problem as Charlie and KB are at it. Remember, these guys boxed earlier, 2 laps earlier for these inters. Oh, and they almost hit the camera. I was scared for a second. They went over the camera. They're going to be at it, aren't they? Absolutely
almost
at
hit
it.
each other and the camera. They're both, yeah. They made the call maybe 1 lap early, I would say, but it was worth the risk where they were.
Just came up now. I thought that the DRS was still enabled. So,
Oh my,
wow.
it does look treacherous out there. Gotta say.
So this is
Hello.
what the problem is. This has cost Jimi Hendrix a lot of positions. Remember, he was leading this. And by staying out a little later, although we will go to him right now because he's about to get a move done on Obi-Wan Kenobi.
And having to do that extra pit stop, remember? That was
that was
the
the
most
front wing
costly.
change. The front wing change. That was it. Sorry, yeah.
It was the front wing change, but then they left the car on the mediums. They put a fresh set of mediums on, remember, in that pit stop, and he had to pit again to put on the inters. So he made an extra pit stop and did a front wing change in one of his stops. Oh, yeah, that was inevitable going around there in the wet side by side.
Yeah, they'll try to do it. They'll touch the wheels doing it in the dry, but in the wet, that's going to be a lot more risk in it. Yeah, sorry, you say?
Norwich is closing in massively on Val Hunt. He's gained nearly a second this lap so far. Lorenzo is following along nicely, so we're going to get a 3-car fight for the lead very shortly. Is this Ferrari got a problem? They're just battling with KB nicely. Bit of wheel banging there.
And George,
sidewall.
you were mentioning a second ago about penalties. The Wheel Hunt had 5 seconds, Norch has 6, and Lorenzo has 3.
Okay, so Lorenzo can just sit behind at this stage and he'll still finish in P1. But if those gaps get any bigger, then there's a risk he loses that. So he's not going to want to sit behind, I don't think. He's going to want to carry on getting ahead, but he's also... These other guys, anyone can pick up a 3-second time penalty at this point. You know, it's not about abusing track limits anymore.
Yeah.
It's about sliding off the track and picking up 3 warnings at some point.
This works brilliantly for outer rim. Even he's got to make up that gap there. 8.7 seconds you can see there from Lorenzo. Lorenzo's on 4 warnings, obviously. So he's used 3 of them up. That gives him that 3 second next to his name. So he's got 2 more warnings. 1 more, yeah, before he gets another 3 second, which means that it'll be game on between him and Notch.
Yeah, and if outer rim can make up that time, then the penalties ahead will promote him, you would have thought. So it looks like he's staying stable around that 8.9 seconds now, but if he can just find a little bit more pace somewhere, that's going to be good. But Norch is looking for a move for the lead here. It looks like he had a little bit, stuck his nose down, just made sure Valhunt knew that he was there and he was coming. Got a yellow flag in sector 1, I believe that's just Alfa Romeo of Port, I believe, letting some cars through.
Charlie and KB are at it again, it looks like. Still. Oh, that's actually Charlie going off the track there.
Yeah. That's both of them off. KB off.
Oh, there's also a spinning LP in the background. That's KB. Sorry, yeah, you're right.
KB, yeah. No, they came together, I think, behind Tony. I think they called up to the back of him and it got a bit messy. That's good. There's a safety car, though. That's brought out the full safety car.
Oh, that's going to spice things up. Guess what? Jimi Hendrix must have the biggest smile and outer rim right now going, yes, yes, yes. They'll be screaming, yes, 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 like Sebastian Vettel did. Because that bunches everybody up. You're going to have a handful of laps to go now. You're really going to have, 2 to 3 laps of full racing green flag. And with those penalties, they can win this race now. Outer Rim can win it. Jimi Hendrix can win it.
They can, and they can make moves on the start. They can, Jimi Hendrix is going to be frustrated. He knows he should have won this. He should be leading this race to a degree, or at least be fighting for the lead. So I think we're going to see a move from him on the restart if he can get the exit nailed. And the exit at the final corner is going to be so difficult in these conditions because the drivers will have cleared a little bit of a line. That's the thing. If you go offline, it's going to be more slippery. But you almost are going to want to go offline in that final corner you want to take a wider line so you can get more top speed down the straight. So that's going to be the interesting decision, I think, on the restart is how much risk do you take being offline to try and gain some positions. Obviously, Delta's not changing too much at this stage because, everyone's following that safety car Delta. But once the safety car and the drivers cross the line again, they'll all be allowed to bunch up. Then we'll get a safety car in lap, and then we'll be green again. So we're going to get 2 or like you said, 2 or 3 laps of racing.
Yeah, without the DRS as well, in the tricky conditions, you're going to get the tire temperature up. The one thing you don't want to be doing right now is going around the wrong way or losing up front wing. Certainly for the likes of Outer Rim and Jimi Hendrix, that are very capable here of a podium, for sure. It puts the big pressure there on those drivers at the front there of the Red Bull, Notch, the McLaren, and Lorenzo to try to get a gap as much as possible. This is going to help KB and Charlie that were at it before in the schoolyard, battling it out there, losing front wings for both of them. Are they going to box and change them? I'd imagine they should. There is one of the drivers that's in the pit lane. Looks like a McLaren. That's Notch. So Notch has got a front wing change, I'd say.
Is he taking a new front wing? Yeah, he's got damage on the front left end plate's gone. How many positions is he going to lose? He's going to drop behind Starrell. I'm surprised he didn't just try and stay out, to be honest, and keep it going and just hope, because he's only going to have to hold on for 2 or 3 laps. He's not going to make up those positions again, especially because he's carrying the penalties. Yeah, and he loses even more.
Yeah, he's going to lose a lot.
I don't think he thought he was going to lose that many positions.
That's not a very good call there, I'd have to say, for the McLaren. Of course, he would struggle like mad, but I didn't think it was massive damage on the front way. Even if you hold somebody up, he's still guaranteed some better points. But, yeah, well, it is the call from the McLaren team. He's still in the points. The 6-second gap.
As he put fresh inters on as well, maybe he thinks that they're going to give him a big advantage, and he was already struggling on the wear on the previous set, but that's a big gamble to take, to be honest.
After the
another time penalty under the safety car, just trying to catch up to the pack. Has Norch had a problem with him? McLaren was moving very slowly, well, maybe that was just a delta causing him to slow down.
Yeah, maybe. Jimi Hendrix, after that absolute nightmare case in the pit lane, wasn't it? With just the wrong corner. Got a front wing damage there, I think was one of those disconnected cars. So he got upset about that. Jumped into the pits. They did not put the inters on. And that's after he also boxed a lap later than some of the other guys as well when he was leading the race. So he had to come back in after front wing. So 5 seconds added to your pit stop, which is generally...
Oh, Norch has been given a penalty. A drive-through for falling too far back from the car ahead.
He's got no front wing.
He's been off again. Yeah, I did say we saw a slow moving McLaren the race is over for Norwich.
Oh, that's...
Because he's got to pit again and then drive through the pit lane once the safety car has pitted, so...
You never know, but remember, Hort's not in this. I think he's ghosted car. Mr. Gores is ghosted as well, I believe. They were having some sort of technical issues. Not 100% sure if you can see that. There's Mr. Gores. He's X'd. So let's go down to Mr. Gores and look back. Yeah, Hort. So they're not in there. So you got to think about with Notch as well that, hey, there's still possibilities of getting some points here. Anything can happen. A couple of drivers lose it in the last couple of laps here, then you still could get that P10. It's not impossible. I would stick with it for sure.
Yeah, I mean, there's still chances of points, and you know, we see in Formula One this year the drivers' championship separated by 6 points, and over the previous rounds, only 1 or 2 have separated Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen in that championship. So, any points you can get here could be very valuable in the championship, teams and drivers. Lorenzo is going to be looking for a move for the lead after Val Hunt won the previous round in Monza. Also in the wet, so these guys in a very similar position to last week. Lorenzo knows that he can win this race. He can win the championship, though. He doesn't need to take too many risks, and we saw his pace in the interconditions. He was lapping significantly quicker than the guys ahead. And remember, he's got 2 seconds less penalty. So even if he finishes behind Val Hunt, you know, he's still going to win this race if he's within 2 seconds. Whereas Val Hunt's going to have to push like crazy to try and pull that gap. So it's going to be... There's risk from everybody everywhere in this field because...
Yeah, we should get safety car in this lap too. I think the trigger point will come up soon because there's no time left. It will come in. That's the rule of thumb in this game. Yeah, it's now. Go ahead.
Outer Rim and Jimi Hendrix as well. No, the 2 in front are in a close battle for the championship. Or at least, you know, the last couple of rounds they've been fighting closely. So these guys are looking like a championship challengers. But, you know, Outer Rim and Jimi Hendrix, they look quick, but I think they're a little bit behind in the championship at the moment. So these guys are going to be going for big moves in this race, and they can win this race because they know the guys ahead are taking less risks, but they also know the guys ahead have penalties and they don't. So that's going to be the interesting challenge. How early is Val Hunt going to go? He lets Lorenzo bunch right up and then nails it foot flat to the floor. Lorenzo is going to go and follow him. Oh! He's tried to weave to block Lorenzo's slipstream and gone off. He's weaved too much, and that's going to cost him a position to the guys behind as well. And the Ferrari, it's just like Hungary in the interconditions in real life this year.
Obi-Wan Kenobi's dropping.
Everybody.
Obi-Wan Kenobi's dropping all the way at the back here as well. Exactly. Jimi Hendrix is in there as well. He's going to be very careful. He knows he could win this race right now. You don't want to be losing anything. Outer Rim as well.
Rim.
But Starrock wants a piece of this.
These two were all bumping in turn 1. I hope they didn't pick up any wing damage as well. Looks like they're clear from the off-board cameras. So what can they do later on? That's going to be the question, because they now got to try and make inroads on the guys ahead. At the moment, Outer Rim would still win this race. That's the... No, in fact, he wouldn't. He would just win this race, but he needs to keep that gap much closer than this. Lose a lot less time per lap if he still wants to win this race. He's still going to finish P2 because Val Hunt carrying that 5-second time penalty, remember. But Lorenzo, his time penalty only 3 seconds. So, and look at the gap he's pulling at the moment, Val Hunt. So, yeah, Outer Rim needs to try and get the move done on Val Hunt here. And Val Hunt maybe doesn't put up too much of a fight because he's not fighting for positions on track at the moment. He's fighting for positions with this penalty. So he needs to lose as little time to the other drivers on track as possible.
And Norch is going for it left, right, and centre, isn't he? Even though he has to serve a drive-through, and he has to serve that drive-through pretty soon, and he's going to do it right now. So I'm going to show the gap to the leader, guys, because that's probably the most important thing right now, so you keep an eye on those penalties, which are up on the screen. No point showing the tyres, they're all on inters. That's not going to change anything in this race whatsoever. It's these penalties that are going to make all the difference.
At the moment, then, we would see Val Hunt drop to P5 in this race, it looks like. So... He's got maybe even further actually because they're just dropping back from the leader and no one's really dropping back from anyone behind that more than that. So he's going to have to put some laps in if he wants to stay high up in this race and, you know, potentially challenge for a podium finish. But that's a big potentially at the moment. Jimi Hendrix looking a little bit weak at the moment actually. Starrell behind looking like he's getting ready to make the move, but Starrell carrying 6 seconds of penalties. So no point taking too many risks here unless he thinks he's being held up a lot by Jimi Hendrix and he can start pulling that 6 seconds to some of the guys behind. Yeah, got a yellow flag in Sector 1. I believe that's one of the Alpines has gone off there.
Jimmy just needs to try to maintain that. He needs to stick with Outer Rim and try to keep that looking. He's got to be looking for that podium position, obviously, as well. He's looking for that third podium position. Outer Rim's looking for the second. I think Lorenzo might very well have that Outer Rim covered off here. For sure he does. And, Jimmy's got to try to keep it, obviously, to Valu in P2. So it's interesting at the moment. Crunchy those math numbers. We had a prediction out there out of rim for the win, but I think Lorenzo's really comfortable in these tyres right now, starting in P1, fastest lap as well. And can he bring that car home to win and maintain that gap? And he has.
He's well out of that penalty range now, so all he needs to do is keep it on the road, and he will finish in P1, it looks like, which would be a bit of an achievement, you got to say, considering the mistake that he made himself earlier on in the race. He doesn't want to repeat that, so don't make any more mistakes like that. And this race is yours, Lorenzo. Out of the rim, following closely behind Val Hunter. He will finish P2 at the moment, and Jimi Hendrix will finish P3, so that's a change of fortune for those drivers.
Staroff has gone round. I just saw that McLaren Senna was about to make an overtake there, but Staroff has a bit of a spin. That's not the thing you want to be doing right now when they're bunched up behind a safety car. He's got those penalties, but he has... Oh, look at that. Another slide.
When he has another one. Those tyres have just got too much temperature in them now. Once you spin on these things, you've got to give them a while to cool back down.
Oh, and he's in a difficult place. He's going to do a couple of points there. So Charlie's going to be coming around the corner soon if he doesn't get on with it.
He couldn't get the wheels spinning up enough and the clutch in far enough to actually get some power down to do a little power spin there. So that's cost him even more positions. Just take it slow. You had a gap behind you anyway, but I get, you want to fight for as many positions as possible, so I understand that. Lorenzo pulling a nice healthy gap now, and I think these guys, Adler Jimi Hendrix, they're not going to be able to fight for the win now, so they're just trying to stay, safely on the track, not pick up any penalties themselves, and stay within that 5 seconds.
Lorenzo crosses the line to win the race.
Yeah, wow, that
came quickly on that one. Good on him. He's done it, hasn't he? Valu will get that drop position to outer rim, get that P2. Jimmy will get that podium out of... Well, Valu will drop to P4. P5.
Clarence Senna misses out on P4 by 3.8 tenths of a second, so that was a very close one. He could have been P4 in this race, but still a good haul of points for McLaren Senna. Big slide coming through the final corner for Norwich. He's got 6 seconds of penalties there, so he's going to finish behind KB when they both cross the line, I believe. Yes.
Yeah.
And then we're just waiting for Starrell in the Alfa Romeo, Charlie in the Ferrari, and Owan Kenobi in the the Ferrari. No, the AlphaTauri, sorry, to cross the line as well.
So Notchi's extra pit stop that he took there, we thought that might have been, a little crazy there, changed that front wing. Still got him up at a P8. So
yeah, I mean, considering what I thought was going to happen, it's much better than that, I would say.
So you have Lorenzo, man. Starroff gets the driver of the day, and that's because where was he? P9. Started P13, finished to P9. He took those 27 lap tires, but look at that. This man is just unstoppable, isn't he? Even throw any wet weather conditions at him, and he still manages to find a way back after a mistake, another mistake too, from the Dutchman. If you'd like to read through those results for us there, please, Mr. George.
Give a quick read. So Lorenzo P1, even after that spin he had in the extra pit stops, so great for him. Outer rim coming home to finish P2. I know he started P3, but it didn't look like he was going to get that good an outcome partway through the race, where he was really struggling for pace compared to the guys both behind and ahead of him. He was getting passed by a few people, and Jimi Hendrix in the Ferrari up into P3 after having to also make an additional pit stop after he came into the pits to replace his front wing, but then forgot to put the intermediate tyres on in the process and switched to the medium, so he had to pit yet again to put on those inters. Valhunt finishing P4, ran P2 and P1 for a lot of that race, but penalty dropped him down to there. McLaren Senna comes home in P5, was probably hoping for a little bit more. Not a bad race from him. So the top 5 are made up of the top 5 on the grid as well, so considering the crazy race we had, that's pretty impressive. See how many pit stops people had to make. Norch down in P8 made 4 pit stops and he had a drive-through. That was impressive. So Ventoni was P6, KB P7, Starr P8, and Charlie rounding out the top 10 in Ferrari. So that was a great race to watch. We had a bit of everything in that one.
Yep, we did. We won't be doing any interviews, I believe, at this point. So, well, even on the interview screen. So, yeah, mate, it's been absolutely fantastic commentating with you, Mr. George, for the first time.
Yeah,
we have.
Great to be back. So, yeah, it was good. It was a nice race as well. So, we'll try and get the highlights reel out for everybody soon as well, so you guys can watch that if you want to see some of the great overtakes we saw in that race. So, yeah, looking forward to the next one.
Yeah, great race. Hopefully the D word didn't cause any issues that we were aware with, but maybe some at the start there. But the rest of the race looked like pretty good, as the rain is still pouring down here where I am. So, Geza, I know you're out there. When's the next race that everybody could look forward to here at Anti-Stall Racing?
That will be in a week's time, so that's in 7 days. And we will be heading over to the Netherlands in Zandvoort.
I would say we should have iRacing on Friday and Sunday as well for you guys to come along and watch.
And also Monday.
And Monday, there you go. We've got IRX, which is a rallycross, the rallycross series we're running on Monday. Then on Sunday, I believe we have the road series, and on Friday we have the oval series that we're running, all with free content. So if any of you guys think of getting into iRacing as well, we've got that free content league. You guys can come and join with no joining fee as well. So if you're interested, go ahead and grab a membership and join us, because some great racing we have here, and in F1 and AC as well, which we're running, and ACT planning on getting that back up and running again soon. It's all, we've got mixed levels of people. We've got people from all skill levels, people who are just getting into this, people who've been doing it for a while now. So if you're interested, come and join us.
Slap the Discord button, the Twitter, the YouTube, the website, the Instagram. It's all there on the Twitch. That's it. George, good job there too, considering you don't even own the game. Your knowledge of F1 is absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, I was surprised I was able to do the commentary job with it, to be honest. It was a little bit difficult, but you had all the right camera angles up and all the great data, which you always do. So it was very helpful and great to commentate with you.
Thank you very much. Looking forward to more of this in the future. So thank you very much from Biggles, myself, George, and obviously Mr. Geza that was in the commentary box as well, just listening in there. So we'll see you guys next time. Take care, stay safe, and bye-bye.